Hi, welcome back. This is Cath with Spark Space. Today we're going to be going over the recycled paper bead kit. This is a makeaway kit you can check out here at the library. So the basic kit comes in this box and shows you some designs of beads that people have made for this kit. Comes with 3 pieces and a set of instructions, which I'll go over shortly. And this is just showing off that you can put it on top of a bottle, but that's not necessary. So this is the main piece that you need in order to use the kit. It is the winder that lets you wind the paper to make the beads, and it winds in both directions. This is a little handle you can screw on and attach so it's easier to hold and wind your paper beads. And then if you unscrew it, that is what screws on top of a bottle if you would like to use a bottle to catch all your beads in. And this is the dauber that you can put glue on to put on your beads, but it's not necessary that you use it. It has a little foam head for you to swipe the glue on. And this is a set of instructions that tells you how things are connected and how you wind the paper and use the dauber. On the back it gives you some instructions for making recycled beads of the different kinds of shapes you can make, and then where you can place them in the bottle. Also has a diagram of some jewelry you can make, and I'll show you how to make that at the end, as well as some other instructions. So let's get started. So to start off, I have several different sizes and shapes and colors of paper that I've pre-cut to make beads. You can pre-cut them or you can cut them as you go. I'm going to start with this long triangular piece of paper. So you're going to take your paper, and there are 2 little prongs here. You're going to slide your paper in between the 2 prongs. And you want to leave a little bit out, just enough so that it catches. And then you're slowly going to just crank it. You're going to have to hold your finger behind it just to kind of guide it to keep it from slipping off while slowly rolling it. And I'm adjusting it to try and keep that middle nice and even so the bead is not all to one side. And at this point you can get a little bit of glue and put it on your dauber. You don't need very much, just a dot to do this. And you'll just slide it all the way down the length of your paper. So as you wind it, you can press down a little bit to really get the glue to stick to the paper. All right. And then once you're done, you can just slide it off, and then you have your first little bead. There's a hole, so you can string it later. So we have 1 bead down. I'm going to pick this nice brightly colored paper. All right, and again, you'll just slide the piece of paper in between the 2 prongs. Want to make sure it's even, and then use, don't go too fast. And I just adjust it to try and keep that in the middle. All right, when you have, a couple inches left, you can do some more glue. The dauber is made of foam, so the glue shouldn't, get too gummy or stuck on there, but just if it does get gummy, you can just wash it off. All right, and once the glue is applied here, we'll just continue to roll, putting some pressure on it to get it to stick to itself. Sometimes those ends need a little bit more glue, so And then once you're finished rolling it all up, you just pull it off, and you have a nice little bead. There's the hole. All right, then we're going to do a little bit thinner, smaller bead with this shiny metallic paper. And if you have a specific kind of color or pattern you want, you always want to make sure that's on the outside. That way when you start rolling, it will show that actual color and pattern. Another thing you can use if you don't have liquid glue is to just use a glue stick. I find that it works just as well to make a bead. The little end, again, you can apply more glue there to get it to stay down. It's always tricky. So there's your bead. Okay, sometimes when you pull it off, that one of those little prongs might come off, and that's okay, because you can just take the prong and stick it back into the hole. Just give it a good push, and it should be fine. So if the prong comes out, it's not a big deal. You can just put it back in. Here is some newspaper strips I've cut up to make kind of a more chunky, wide bead, and it's all cut at the same length. So it's just going to give you a long cylinder-shaped bead. And here I've accidentally went too fast, so I need to unwind some of it so I can put my glue on it. Just give it a couple extra turns while I push down. Alright, and again the little prong came out, but that's okay. You can just pull your bead off and lay it to the side. And here's another smaller, thinner, tapered bead. So this will be thick in the middle and thinner on the outsides. Just a little bit more glue. Alright, the prong came out again, which is okay. So it's a small bead. So I've made a handful of beads. Now I'm going to show you how to turn them into a bracelet. Okay, so here are some beads that I made. Different sizes and shapes. To make a bracelet, you're just going to need some cording of some kind. This is an elastic cording I kind of vaguely measured around my wrist. A closure that I can tie knots on both ends, and it unscrews in the middle like so. You just screw it back together. And a bunch of various kind of beads that match the color schemes of some of the beads that I made, kind of earth tones. So the first thing I'm going to do is slip my cord through the end of this finding and tie a knot. And in my stretchy beaded bracelet video, I talk a little bit more about tying knots on elastic cord. So if you like some tips or tricks on how to get them to stay, you can check out that video. The biggest thing is to just pull them really tightly. And if you pull too tight like that, then they will come out. So we're going to try that again. Just tying an overhand knot. And then I'll tie a second knot. And this time I'm holding the cord really tightly, pulling really tightly, and then once I'm satisfied, I just pinch the two together, and I'm going to slide a bead over both ends of the cord. So the main length of the cord and the very end where I tied the knot to cover up that little second bit of cord that's left from tying the knot. So the cord, I'm going to just slide that bead over both pieces. So that covers the very beginning of the cord. Then I'll get a second bead to cover the other half of the cord that's remaining, so that both pieces will be hidden, and no one will even know that there is an extra piece of cord there if I do it correctly. Let's see. All right, you just very carefully slide that second bead on. You just want to make sure you get both pieces of cording to come through. Oh, okay. And then I'll just start stringing on my other beads. So this is a bead that I made out of recycled paper. And I'm just choosing beads that kind of have an earth tone to kind of match the browns and golds and oranges of the paper beads I made. And I just pick beads at random to go with this, so there's not any really rhyme or reason to what beads I'm picking, just ones that I thought looked good together. Okay, then I'm adding another paper bead. A big part of doing paper beads on cord is to make sure that you get a cord that is small enough to fit inside the little beads. So just when you go to look for cord, just something I use whenever I go to look for cord is sometimes I just pick the thinnest cord I can find if I'm not quite sure how big or how small the openings of my beads are going to be. These openings should be pretty standard. So we're just picking out a couple more beads before we get to the end of our bracelet to tie it off. And when we tie it off, we'll do something similar of putting some larger beads on so that when we tie the second knot here, we can slip the cord that is left over back inside of those beads like we did on the first side. So I try and pull the cord pretty tightly so I can get these knots in. Sorry for my hands being off screen. Here we go. So we're just going to do another overhand knot here. And we're going to pull, as you can see, kind of tightly here, but not so tight that we can't get the bracelet on. And we pulled too tight and it pulled the ends out on the first side, so we're going to have to go back and fix that at the end. So then just another overhand knot. Just pull it tight. Now we're going to thread these ends through the two beads on the end. Alright. And then I'm going to have to rethread the beads on the other side too. And you just want to leave some of that extra cording on here instead of cutting it all the way off, just so those two double knots you tied have something to kind of hold on to. So just pulling it tight. I'm just going to get a pair of scissors and trim off the excess, like so. And also on this. And then you have a stretchy little bead with your paper beads on it. You can undo the ends, and then you can try and do it yourself, or if you need help, you can have somebody else do it for you. Or if your bracelet is like mine, is on stretchy cording, then you can just slide it over your hand and you don't need to undo the closures. But yeah, that's what it looks like here, little close-up action of my paper beads. So yeah, so my paper beads here and all the way around. So thank you for joining me on this video. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something new, and come and check out the recycled paper bead kit from your library. Thanks.